Hello and welcome to another Company of Heroes 3 game. My name is Fancy Josh, and today I've got a game for you. It's going to be a 2v2 between PocketPick as our British. His teammate is going to be Versitile Missionary, and their opponents. One of them does not have an appropriate name, and the others is going to go with FMAO. Sure that stands for something, but I am not smart enough to figure it out. Map today is going to be Pachino Stalemate, 2v2 variant of the map. I think it's really cool that they... I mean, this is a 1v1 map, but there is a 2v2 variant of it, which basically adds this outer edge, and I think that's really cool map design. So, cutoffs don't really exist in this game. You got some high-value fuel points on the edges. Got some low-value fuel points in the middle here that are relatively easy to steal away. And yeah, I think it's a cool map. What I like about this map is how wide it is. So even though it's a 2v2, you have to make decisions about where you want to be on the map. And that can lead to some interesting outcomes. So this is a viewer-submitted replay. Excuse me. This is a Relic Discord-submitted replay. And we're going to be paying close attention to one of the players, trying to give them feedback, and that is going to be PocketPick here. But of course, we'll be looking at the game as a whole. So, PocketPick, our blue British player, adding on 2 Royal Engineers in Dingo into infantry section. Going to give him some high-risk, high-reward mobility, as well as some decent capture power in the form of these Royal Engineers. His opponent on this side, the red German, has added on a Grenadier into heavy machine gun into Grenadier. And that's going to win him some early territory here, it looks like to me. So our German player did something really nice here. And he added on these sandbags on this victory point to give himself significant control over the area. And as you can see, it is definitely winning him some fights. Those pioneers that had to retreat earlier were able to delay while the heavy machine gun and grenadiers caught up. So that's really nice for him. Checking in on this side. German player's going for a standard build. Grenadier, motorbike, 250 half-track. His opponent opened with a heavy machine gun into Royal Engineer infantry section and Dingo as well. German players capitalizing on their early gains on this left side. Grenadiers bailing out of there, almost getting picked up. That's a really nice pickup for our British player. So he's gone for the recce package on this infantry section, going to give him that long-range advantage as well as these higher utility like recon flares and forward artillery barrage. These abilities are actually incredibly cheap. The recon flare is literally free, and the artillery barrage is only 35. Which is only slightly more expensive than a grenade. Machine gun, nice flank here. I'd like to see him continue to flank. Is going to call in that artillery barrage, force his opponent back. Nicely done. Probably going to continue the flank onto these grenadiers. Looks like he wants to prioritize capturing this point. Not quite standing on it, though. Love to see him scoot up here to get the full flank there. He's probably getting some benefits from this flank, but it's not the full advantage there. Looks like he's adding on grenades now. Long range fight here. German player did upgrade to the 259 half-track, giving him some increased damage there. German player kind of just sniffing around the middle here. Did manage to pick up quite a bit of territory. Looks like he's even leaving some mines behind. That's really nice. That artillery barrage did destroy those sandbags. So that's going to be pretty good for our British player. I will, when you see a player doing mines and sandbags, they tend to do it the whole game long. I'd recommend if you have some extra APM available to you to just throw down sandbags, throw down mines, throw down barbed wire. Anything you can do to make your opponent's life harder and your life easier, I would encourage you to do. So it looks like our German player's pushing back into this right side. I would not... So he doesn't know this, of course. I wouldn't mind seeing him send a couple... just one squad to the middle to pick up some territory. Like I said, of course, he doesn't know that his opponent isn't entrenched in the middle. But it's first of all, it's not going to hurt to check, because it's going to give him additional information about what's going on on this side. And yeah. And it's free real estate, right? If you can pick up any territory at all, you should do it. So I think, he's focused on these fights that are happening over here. Wouldn't mind seeing these engineers. Doesn't need both squads capturing, of course. So I wouldn't mind seeing him come on down here. Something else our British player doesn't know is that he needs minesweepers. I think he's going to find out pretty quick here. So that's a really nice add. Our German, right, I mean, he literally just forced the retreat of that squad. It's probably going to let him win this fight, even without the heavy machine gun. Nice flank by the Royal Engineers. Do tend to wreck Grenadiers pretty quickly, running into the second mine there. So, mines just won our German player this fight. Doesn't look like he has any squads in the area to capitalize, but nevertheless. Yeah, so we should see our German player add on. Okay, well, what I was going to say is, I really like the scout car. He's got his timings locked down. I think he does know that there's Jaegers out on the field. He might actually be able to force them to retreat here. Scout car wants to get involved with these Jaegers before they upgrade, and he is going to retreat. So, what I was going to say is, when you see your opponent have mines, you should add on a minesweeper. You can even, when you add on a minesweeper, you can even turn the minesweeper on and off, allowing you to not lose any DPS while also having the utility of the minesweeper. Now, of course, that requires a reasonable amount of micro, so my advice is to just pick up a minesweeper, leave it turned on all the time, and sweep for mines that way. Ormachek player adding on the flak panzer here. This is going to be tough for our British player to deal with with his current composition. I think we'll probably see him add on a AT gun next. He's going to need to be real careful with his scout car. He does have access to AT grenades, but he's going to want to try to avoid this unit as much as he can. I do like that he managed to secure his fuel back. This fuel on the very edge of the map is absolutely critical to success. And while I'm thinking about it, I wouldn't mind seeing our British player on this side pick up that fuel. He doesn't know where his opponent is, but he's going deep with these riflemen here, so he's got squads to spare back over here. Heavy machine gun, pioneers, right? Could easily pick up that territory. Scout car skirmishing with this flak panzer, obviously taking a beating. It's a very risky place for our dingo. I like that he's kept his dingo alive. That is hard to do. But this thing has really high utility in the form of its flares and artillery barrages, and could benefit from that if he continues to keep it alive. Nice little flank here, using all the units at his disposal, going with combined arms. Nice flare, nice smoke grenades to try and stop this flak panzer from getting involved. It's going to work too. That squad's got to go right now. They're going to do that. I was going to say I wouldn't mind seeing them throw down a artillery flares at the same time that smoke went down. Of course, he didn't know exactly where the fight was going to take place, so... Do have an AT from our British player. I think it's actually in a good position right here. I know that the tank is currently not in this area, but this arc gives him nice clean sight lines well into his opponent's territory. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Should get a shot in here. Is going to lose the squad for it, but it is going to force that flak panzer back. He's going to get a second shot here. That flak panzer's going to bail. Now, when you damage a tank like that, you want to follow up quickly. So whether he's taking this territory, or trying to take this territory over here, or moving in with that scout car to try and deal with this heavy machine gun, I'd like to see any sort of push. I do like that he is repositioning his AT gun. When your opponent knows where your AT gun is, they're going to avoid it. Likewise, when... That actually applies to vehicles as well, right? If they know where your vehicle is, they can counter it. Ooh, that was a brutal grenade. That was really brutal. Picking up the whole squad there. So... Despite that loss there, I think our British player's army composition is looking good. So something that you can consider in your 2v2 games is if you're getting if you feel like you're getting wrecked, and by the way, I'm not saying that our player is getting wrecked, but if you feel like you're behind and you cannot win a fight, consider grouping up with your teammate. Consider helping them out. Nice grenade here, flaming out these squads here. Gonna force a full-on retreat. That's really nice. Flak Panzer fully healed up, coming back in. Combined arms over here, securing that fuel point. AT gun ought to be moving up. Does have a second one here. I'd like to see these AT guns move up to help out. Wouldn't mind seeing them both over here, or potentially one over here and one over here. Looks like he is moving now. Needs to make sure that whole squad is in the heavy cover, which doesn't look like they are. I can't quite tell. Artillery barrage from our British player. That's exactly what he should be doing. Drive away any heavy machine guns, but he needs to follow up on it. Scout out with that Royal Engineer, right? Check out what's going on. AT setting up, getting a good hit there. Black Panzer backing up, Scout Car keeping an eye on it. Pioneers and Recce squad moving up. Wouldn't mind seeing a flare come out, kind of scout out the area for him. It looks like he is going to be able to take over this area. Continuing to make use of this scout car. Supporting those scouts. Units healing up off of the British battle group there with that attacking spirit. Attacking spirit is just so darn good. He has added on a Canadian shock section. Big push from our German here. He's going to eat a Panzerschreck here, probably. Dingo barely getting out of there. AT guns need to back up right now. Getting cover here is going to tank that grenade there. Scout car pushing in aggressively. Needs to be careful. This squad could upgrade to Panzerschrecks at any time. Another nice grenade from our British player. Scout squad may be able to push this unit back. So I will say that this is very risky from these AT guns, right? I don't know if our German player had vision. I think that he may have just barely. Maybe he'll give us another chance to see. Yeah, maybe not. Oh, he does now, though. Alright, so I take it all back. Good positioning from the AT guns. I'd like to see an anti-tank grenade here, but not responding fast enough. Did lose that armored car. Almost picked up the flak panzer there. Heavy machine gun going to pin down the squad and stop the capture. Again, these AT guns are really far forward. Another barrage going to force the German back. So, this artillery barrage has been extremely effective for our British player. I wouldn't mind seeing some flares out of this dingo, right? Some decoy flares. Our German has demonstrated that he is extremely respectful of those flares. We've seen him retreat multiple times with his heavy machine gun. So, wouldn't mind seeing that. Piat's added onto this Canadian shock section. Give him some additional anti-tank capability. British player is picking up some territory in the middle. I'm sure he's distracted by what's going on over here, but wouldn't mind seeing that engineer move up here. Pick up some free real estate because his opponent isn't in the area. Another grenade coming out. Gonna burn out these Jaeger there. If he's not careful, might lose the squad. Does see it in the end. Now that he's got the advantage, want to try and flank around that cover here, right? Get a side angle, push him back. This is a good fight for our German, despite what appears like he's losing, because he is delaying his opponent, right? The British player is stuck here just fighting. Meanwhile, the flak panzer's getting repaired up back at home. Well, in theory, it's going to get repaired right now. Units recovering, right? There's more units coming. The longer our German can delay, the more victory points he's going to tick his opponent down. And, you know, that's exactly what our German player wants right now. He wants to delay. Troop and squad added on by our German, which means he has teched up to tier 4. So he could be adding on grenade coming out. Just a smoke grenade. Real grenade, though. Gonna force them back. Nicely done. Managed to hold on to the fuel there. Another British infantry section going to get involved here, pick up this point. Unfortunately for him, heavy machine guns ready to go. Another Canadian shock section. Adding on the 2-inch mortar package, which we might see him call down here. Heavy machine gun respecting potential for some artillery there. More mines from our German player. I like this nice deep mine, right? Preventing any run-bys. Grenade coming out. This squad's got to go. Yeah, well-positioned heavy machine gun. Okay, these squads got to go. Armored car from our ally might be able to help out here. Looks like he's going to bail. Dingo continuing to be a thorn in the German side here. A nice little flank here. Big hit on those grenadiers. Managed to pick them up with the Canadians. That's huge. Trooping coming in here. Going to put a quick end to this fight, I suspect, though. This elite infantry is ultra lethal against pretty much anything with 2 legs. And these anti-tank guns need to be real careful. They're in a good position in terms of not being stolen. So he's got that going for him. This dingo does not want a part of that, though. Is that a real barrage? It is a real barrage. Trooping flanking around here. Going to be a big fight. And they're probably going to bail out of here pretty quick. Like this from these Royal Engineers, getting up on this top section, trying to pick up territory. AT guns, spotting that Black Panzer at max range. Smart decision there. Can you upgrade these Piats? Oh yeah, you already upgraded the 2-inch mortar. Can you do both? No, you can't. What's crazy to me is that this dingo hasn't been repaired in like a year and a half, and he still kept it alive. Looks like he just called it off the map. Actually, I'm not sure I agree with that. Maybe he's feeling a little short on manpower. Maybe he feels like he can't keep that dingo alive. But the utility that that thing provides cannot be understated. So, Troopin continuing to be a menace here. British player adding on a Crusader tank now. That's going to really help him against these Troopin. Of course, these Troopin in heavy cover are absolutely going to wreck this infantry section. Infantry section trying to fight off grenadiers here. I'd like to see him jump into cover, but that squad's going to retreat. And oddly enough, that rifleman squad did win that fight. Now, their advantage was their range, right? Infantry sections are better at long range. So, being far back like that was great for him. So, I've seen our British player do this a couple times. He's retreating with... I think I have observed him retreating too often. And what I mean by that is, there have been a couple cases where... so this case in particular, he retreated because he wanted to get back to full health, right? But he had just won a fight, and he needed to push deeper with that squad, find the enemy, and then retreat. And if he doesn't find the enemy, he can just capture, right? And it doesn't have to be a full health squad that's capturing. That said, of course, you know, a lot of things could go wrong. He doesn't know what's in the fog of war, and we do. Makes it easy for me to say that. But recognizing that from your opponent is critical to success, right? Is scouting out what your opponent's doing. Like, imagine he found this heavy machine gun with that 3 health, that 3-squad rifleman. You know, it would have changed the way he approached this fight, potentially. But like I said, it's really easy for me to say that with a bird's eye view here, and that's a skill that takes a long time to develop. Piat doing damage here. He's got 2 Piat. No, doesn't have the second one. Looks like the AT guns got pushed off. Crusaders. So it looks like our British player is waiting for multiple. Okay, this one did get involved in some combat. Looks like they were involved in combat against those Jaeger there. So, his ally pushing in to help out in the middle. Like I said, if you find yourself behind, set yourself up to help your teammate, right? Get involved. Follow them in, right? So I think his Crusader should be following his teammate in here. Potentially scouting around with the Crusader, right? Find your enemy. If his opponent is this deep, he's got bigger problems, so figuring out where the enemy is a good thing. Alright, so I like this. Using that infantry section, finding this Troopin. Wouldn't mind this tank sitting at max range, right? This is what you want to be doing with your vehicles in general, because vehicles are so precious. Got a barrage coming into the middle here. It's going to be pretty devastating. British player needs to get out of there. Oof. Stuka picking up 2 squads there is just brutal for our teal player. And so, I've been so focused on the individual fights, I haven't been observing the fact that our British players are hurting for victory points pretty badly. Nice with the tanks there. Again, he's not pushing in too deep, right? He doesn't know this, but there are multiple mines just waiting for him to push in. So playing conservative with those tanks is definitely the right call. But again, he's sitting at that max range, picking off units, dealing damage, so well done there. I think our British players need to group up heavily, hang out right next to each other. Right here in this medium area, middle area, and be able to rotate onto one side or the other. Our British player still needs minesweepers, but it's going to work out for him. Might hit this mine, though. That's so good news for him is that there isn't a ton of AT for his opponent. He's going to pick up that Flak Panzer. Not sure where the AT... Not sure where the Jaegers from our German player are. Backing up slowly here. Defending his wounded tank a little bit. Another Stuka barrage. Where's that going? Right here. Actually hitting his own ally's tank. That's going to be a dead light tank there. Now our German has added on a Tiger here. Now I think that 3 Crusaders can take a Tiger under the right conditions, especially if he's got the support of his 2 AT guns, flanked by these Jaegers here. Crusaders need to focus. Tiger getting involved here. Gonna attack ground through the bush. Didn't connect. Probably gonna drive right through the bush now. Jaegers force back. Crusaders need to back up too. Nice attack ground through the bush there again from our Tiger. AT guns connecting well. And this squad should not be here. Gonna get out. Now, I don't agree with this from our British player. Okay, looked like he wanted to dive there. And that could have been the right decision. But it would have been really tough. Like, he could have easily lost 1 or more of his tanks. He doesn't know what his opponent has in the Fog of War here. There could be mines, there could be AT guns. The point is that he doesn't know. Do like our British player exploring the Fog of War here a little bit, trying to figure out exactly where his opponent's lines are. Crusaders not being healed. Where are our Pioneers? Coming out now. But looks like our teal player did manage to pick up this point, but you can see he's been suffering badly from attrition from those Stukas there. And that might be a dead squad. Quite. AT guns getting more goods hits. Crusaders diving, but they haven't been repaired. And not quite in a great enough position to get behind this tank. He's going to hit a mine there. And that might be a dead Tiger, but I think it's a couple dead Crusaders at the very best. Especially if this anti-tank squad gets involved. One more shot. Nice. Okay, well, so that was a better trade for the German. From purely a resource perspective, that was a better trade for our German. The other reason it was really good for our German is he has 350 fuel built up. Now, of course, he doesn't have the manpower for another Tiger, but it's not impossible that we see another Tiger out of him this game. Of course, that is if our British players live that long, because they only have 16 points, and he is losing this last point here. Crusader trying to get involved. In a situation like this, I might consider sending in my AT guns. Try and help out. I would even be considering sending just one squad to the middle there, regardless of how much health it had. Crusader tank doing some work here. But unfortunately got some squads sitting back at base. They're trying to get involved, but it's going to be too late, I think. Jaeger back on the front line, going to push away this Crusader. Yeah, sorry, I'm just thinking back over this game and the advice I'd give. It's easy for me to... Oh, that's a really cool mortar barrage. I don't think I've seen a player use that. That's freaking devastating.
The day is theirs. Time to retreat.
So, I don't want to take too long here at the end of the video, but I think a few takeaways I have is to, be active with your squads all the time. Be exploring the Fog of War. You might find gaps in your opponent's line. You might find free territory. You might distract your opponent by capturing stuff that they weren't expecting you to do. So send those squads to the corner of the map. Come in from unexpected angles. You know, just get a little more active with them. On the flip side of that, you got to keep your squads alive while doing that, and that can be very challenging. What else would I say? I think you added on AT guns at the right time. I think they were pretty well positioned. I think that when you added on that first tank, you needed to get active with it ASAP, and you needed to use it in a combined arms approach, which is to say keep it with your infantry on the front line. And you may have done that with the first tank and I missed it, but there was definitely some fighting on the front line near the victory point where I think that tank could have been useful right when it was created. Yeah, overall solid game. I had fun watching it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did, and I will see you in the next one.